I have two, I call them momentous announcements to make today. Only one of which my team is aware of, which is exciting. So look at Ben and Priya's grin like in anticipation. They have no idea. Maybe they have an idea, but they I've not told them anything about what's about to happen right now. So
I'm gonna be
all right.
difficult, Francis. You better make sure we do get excited.
You better look excited even if you're not, right?
There's been a lot of hype, so yeah, you got to live up to.
All right. So let me start with the first thing, the one that the team knows about. Very excited to introduce assets, especially for you guys who are doing consulting work with clients. I think it's going to be very powerful addition to STS. Also, one in responsible for managing projects. One of the key aspects of managing a project. Yes, you need sometimes to brainstorm either by yourself or with stakeholders. But once you're done, the concrete manifestation of that work is an asset, whether it's a project charter, whether it's a mission statement, whether it's a after action review. Those artifacts are the key to how you communicate not only the result from the past, but also the plan moving forward to yourself, to your teams, and to other constituents. So, in keeping with this week team, we had the election in Canada. I created this very straightforward board. I call this strategy for Canada. And in there, I just put a couple of things about what makes Canada a special place. So we have strengths. So this is your typical SWOT format. So we have strengths, so great people, hey, excellent tech, rich culture, natural resources. There's plenty more, but let's start with that. Weaknesses, relatively small population, not many early stage investors. So clearly these are challenges that we need to overcome. Opportunities for Canada is leverage our top talent in AI. One of the two, I think, of the grandfathers of AI are Canadians. Leverage our great brand of being innovative and nice and attract talent and investment. And as far as threats, I just came up with two: climate change and economic uncertainty. So let's not go necessarily deeper into that. But yeah, so what I'm showing right now, it's something that you could always do in STS. You can walk with your team through these, like you could have multiple people create new cards, modify the cards that are there, move them around. And you can also ask the AI to contribute and help you formulate or rearrange or come up with new ones. But what's new today that I'm announcing is that when you click on Save Board, you now have two options. One is to save to file, which is great for safekeeping, but you can also export the board as an asset. And the tool today comes pre-configured with two assets. There'll be plenty more in the near future. So there's a basic asset and the SWOT. So let's start with just the basic asset. So you see here, I have a message telling me that the asset was successfully exported and I can find it at the bottom of the board. So what does that mean? I'm going to scroll down and here I have my fourth basic asset. So essentially I did a few tests here. So if I change my board, it's actually a nice way of getting of history of everything that you and your team have worked on this board. Now I'm opening this asset, which in this case is a document. And you see here, strategy for Canada. So this is the actual content from from the board, just very flat. Everything in the board gets listed here. So it's a comprehensive list of everything from the board. You'll notice at the top, that looks like a button here. The idea is that you can actually click on it, or you might have to do Control or Command click. But if you click that, it will bring you to where you can subscribe to STS. And once you subscribe to STS, once you become a paid user, and it's about $200 a year or $20 a month, you get to generate those assets without the STS branding. So without the watermark and the STS logo on top. And obviously this button will also go away once you become a paid paid user, but even on a free tier, you get access to this tool. You can generate the document, and then you can either remove that branding manually every time or copy it to another template. Once you become a paid subscriber, you get access to this, not only without the STS branding, but also if you want to work with us, we can show you how to actually create your own branding and your own assets to go with that. That will be another tier of subscription to STS. So we are introducing this month tiered levels. STS has been free for everyone, for everything. I've always said we're still committed to STS being free forever, but if you're on the free tier, you don't get to have all the most advanced goodies that, essentially once you start using STS to earn a living, to do your work, we believe that we generate enough value that it's okay to ask for a little bit in return. Let me go back to the board and show you the other assets. Will give you a better sense of what you can accomplish with that. I'm going to use this SWOT asset here. And then again, I have the message telling me that asset has been successfully exported. And then you see here, I have that export number 5, which is a SWOT. And when I click on it, I have the document now on my desktop, just a plain Word document. But you see here now that we've created this SWOT rendering. Let me zoom a little bit here that you can see it better. But you see my strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats are being, nicely rendered with colors and all of that. So this takes no time. There's no programming required in order to build your own assets into STS. So we're very excited. Think about business model canvas, think about force field, think about creating a project charter. We've build this using inspiration and support from Gary Boomer of Boomer Consulting Inc. and two or three other clients that we're working with, including a bank and a manufacturing company. And we do believe that this is going to make a very nice addition. As once you're done your brainstorming, once you've done the work either by yourself, with your team, with your client, with your stakeholders, then you just push that button, you export that asset, and you can send that asset by email or share it with others very easily. So I'm very excited about that new development.
That's
so
great.
Let me pause for a second here and see if there's any question.
Yeah, that's a great addition. It adds a lot of value. Very, very good. Very excited.
I like the fact that Francis, you had chosen to have it attached automatically to the board for quite a few reasons. One of them is that I found in doing consulting work and like helping people with the kind of end the scavenger hunt, as we come to call it. If you're looking for like particular assets that go along with the work that you've been doing, like I say, a document like you've created here, having it automatically attached to the project that you're working on just helps so much. And also, normally obviously you could do that yourself. For everybody that's on the call, you should know that you can add documents to any of the cards that are in a board. And so it's like, I can show you how to do that in a minute, but so you click on a card and you go to the details of the card and you can just add it. So it's saving that step too. So you've kicked it out. If you want to have it as a part of the project, it's done automatically. So I think that was a really smart choice. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can you explain how things are mapped over to the other document you created, the first one?
Essentially, there's two things, right? I'm going to explain to how this one is done. Is very easy, actually, but the other one is basically just a flow of all the content.
Yeah.
So
The other one is it's in the order of frames in the lists.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for this one, essentially, the source asset is just a plain Word document. Again, it's no custom programming required to do that. Like for those of you who have used Crystal Report and have dealt with that type of technology before, this is 1,000 times easier. Essentially, here on my source asset, I have a table with strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats, like just those words, nothing more. And then on the board, I have these lists here that have strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses. So like it has to be the same typing, but essentially when I generate an asset, STS looks for, are there any lists on this board where the list name matches the heading on a cell or a column or something like that. And there's dozen or so patterns that STS will automatically figure out, oh, it looks like this content should go here, and it does it for you automatically. And so far it's working pretty well, and we're going to continue to, like, we will document that and make it available to you all soon. And it will also like make it more straightforward and easier as we get more experience using our own technology here. Does that
Couple
answer your
questions.
question, Ben?
It does. And John has a question, and then Dale.
Yep.
Francis, could this be used like a format so that you can take a company through the business canvas and then the EXO canvas?
Yep, 100%. I think, Bill, I've used all of, I don't know how many different models in my life as a consultant, as a strategy consultant, as a process consultant, whether you're talking lean, PMI, capability maturity models, for those of you who've been exposed to that. There's the maximizer, like the Lean Business Canvas, and EXO is a good example. The Gazelle, the Profit Minds from the Vern Harnish book. Like, there's no shortage of different ways to organize information for strategy or consulting engagement. And all of these templates, in my opinion, fell a little bit short of really enabling people because we were not having AI to support the creation of that content. And we were not equipped to easily move content in and out of a brainstorming session like this one into a document that we can present to the, say, CEO, and then the CEO makes their comment, and then we can, with STS and with AI, you can do all of that work on the content on a board, generate those assets, have the discussion offline, come back here. I think that makes a big difference. And so yes, the idea is that in a short order, I'm hoping that we're going to have a whole collection of those assets and sample boards to go with them. And I strongly encourage you and everyone else on this call, if you have your own preferred sets of how you work with clients, you can build your asset collection on STS, and it's yours, and you can decide whether others can use it or not, and you can even decide whether you want to charge others for using it or not.
So, like the business canvas, it's a graphic with 9 quadrants. Would you have that in one frame, or would you have a frame for each one of the components, like, customer service or revenue, or
I think we did one for ourselves.
So John, the way I would address that is it would depend on how large your canvas is, but you might want, and depending on how you want to collect information from your clients, you could build it in multiple boards and then pull information from those boards to summarize the information. And we are able to create custom templates so that information from those boards is replicated in those Word documents. So you are able to collaborate with your clients to gather that information and work with AI to summarize. And then you'll be able to create a custom template so you can feed the information from your board to that template, similar to what Francis showed you, but it doesn't have to be a SWOT. It could be a lean canvas. It could be whatever you want.
So it'll be the end product would be the summary, would be the actual graphic of the 9 quadrants in one view.
You can make any graphic any quadrant style graphic that you'd like. I'm saying quadrant because I just saw I can imagine people will go very quickly more complex from there. But for now, quadrants, yes, any kind of table.
One of the nice things about the way we're structuring that is that I just show you the business model canvas comes with 7 or 9 like square essentially or region in their graphic, so you can have them just laid out in a linear fashion if you want to just like go through the process, and then in the end you generate the asset as the fully formatted BNC format. Or you can also build your board so that it mimics that structure. So you have like the essentially the 2 rows and the 2 rows and 4 or 5 columns that comes with the business model canvas. So you can, just like I did here, I made a quadrant actually top, left, right, and bottom, but I could also have just put those lists one next to the other, and the asset will have figured out that where to place them into the source asset.
Okay.
Plenty
Great.
of opportunities, and how you guys will end up using it, I can't wait to see that, because like I'm sure you'll come up with ways of using this technology that I have not even imagined myself. So
And John,
Looking
you can
forward to
reach
that.
out to Francis has to develop, so you're not allowed to reach out to Francis, but you can reach out to Ben or I if you want to walk through this slowly.
All right, I do have to leave in a minute, but I did promise something else.
Then I
So let me see. I'm gonna go to ask and find. So let's say here I'm gonna ask about who won the Canadian federal election in 2025, right? So it seems there's a typo, but ChatGPT tells me that the Canadian federal election in 2021, it was Justin Trudeau that won the election. So 2021, that was a while ago. But that's a problem with LLMs, right? They are trained on the past and they don't see the present, let alone the future. So it is what it is, right? There's nothing to do about that. Oh, wait, maybe there is something I can do about that. What if I ask Perplexity? Who won the Canadian federal election in 2025? Look at Ben's face. And so the winner of the 2025 Canadian election was Mark Carney. Yay, we have a winner. What does Google think about that?
Whoa.
Google agrees. A different answer, different format, but Google also agrees. Now, I did write here like a mission statement, but I've been told that Claude write an inspiring
This is good, Francis. Genuine
mission
excitement.
statement. So I promise everyone, I promise if you looked at Ben and Priya's face that you would be rewarded. I think I am anyway. And so you see how Claude is providing me a much different answer than what I would have gotten from ChatGPT. So this is actually like fresh from this morning. As I said, the team had no idea I was working on that. There are probably still a few quirks to iron out. Right now, the three keywords that you can put in front of any prompt are Claude, Perplexity, and Google. And so if your prompt starts with one of those three keywords, then it will go through that path. Again, we'll come up with different and other ways of curating with these models, but that's the shortest path that I found once I implemented the technology that allows us to do this today. So
Could
today
you
we're
also,
announcing not only assets but also Perplexity with full web search, Google search, and Claude, and a lot of many more features are going to be announced in the next couple of days and weeks.
could you just do full web search?
This is Google search, no? One of the things we're going to add is you can actually pull the content from a web page. I did the pulling the content from a web page and bring it into STS. I did that as part of a Vibe hackathon last week, and that will also come up. But if you're talking about web search, it's basically it's a Google search.
Right.
So we can essentially call on Claude, Perplexity, and Google and ask them questions with any AI in STS, not just an ask and find, correct?
Yes, but I think there are some, again, I mean, this is early access. So there might be a few quirks. I'm not entirely sure. I've not myself tested that a whole lot, but
Mhm.
from what you can see here, it seems to be working.
Okay.
Now,
So
Priya and Ben wants to put an end to this webinar so that they can start
I'm
playing with the
testing
new tool.
already.
I just did
Okay.
I just asked Google. I said, Google, what's the weather today in Montreal? And I got the answer. So live, simple, quick
Live
search.
searches. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
which is
great.
not what I was wondering if this was going to give me Gemini, right? So if you go to Google now and you do a search, you'll get Gemini's answers. But
Yep.
this is so it's interesting. It'd be interesting for everybody on the call too. We could test this and see as Francis is suggesting, what the responses are going to be, because that's a nice succinct answer from Google too. Instead of having, millions of websites to scroll through, it's like
and ads.
right, and it's like our concise colleague actually.
Yep.
It's a nice simple answer.
So I do have to run. I hope you enjoyed what I've showed you today.
Okay.
A lot more is coming.
Is it live in the app now and it's searching, but there's no live web links? It's just pulling from the web. Is that correct?
No, you have the web links if you do the Google search.
Okay. Or Perplexity.
Google and Perplexity give you links most of the times. But the thing is that we do the search through Google or Perplexity, and then there's another AI that summarizes the answer that we get from that search. And that summarizer sometimes removes links. I ask it not to, but sometimes it does. And sometimes also that summarizers has been trained with 2024 data. And so it might be like, even if it finds information in 2025, it might, get confused because it feels like it's time traveling for it, right? For the AI. So these are the type of quirks that we're going to be addressing in the near future. But like that's why I specifically ask for the winner of the election in 2025. If I don't specify 2025, sometimes even though Perplexity will give the answer to the AI that summarizes that answer will say, well, it's 2024. I don't know, right? So.
Okay, so very
But
early. Yeah. I'm asking because I'm going to be out doing some networking. I'm wondering how to communicate this. So
it's there, it's working. It's not perfect, but it's amazing already, I think.
Okay, fantastic. So it will provide web links. It's not perfect yet, but it will be perfect relatively soon.
Massive.
So if I ask, what is 42?
Francis, could you
question, isn't
save
it?
this board in the webinar folder, or maybe the strategy for Canada, because I think that'd be a nice thing to offer.
Right. Yes, I will put it into the webinar folder, but not right now. I do need to run. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there one final question?
Yeah, well, congratulations, Francis. Great advancements.
Thank
Really.
you. I'm very sorry. I do have to leave. That's an emergency. But thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the new tool.
Thank you.
The new toys, I should say. Bye.
All right, good. Dale, you have another question or comment?
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a prioritizing feature in terms of the output from the brainstorming sessions. Francis seemed to mention that there was a way of categorizing the output, which is really good. But is there a way of prioritizing both the categories and within the category, the items?
So let's just I'm gonna put myself on the line here. Let's just look at, so this is the webinar board from today. And so if I just export it now, so as just the basic asset. So this is the order: webinar description, the agenda, and then there's the World Summit. This is from previous webinars. So these are the 4 lists that we have. So let's see how it looks here once I click on that and open it. So here, the first thing is the AI colleague. So you have this AI colleague here, the tab. So that's the first thing that appears. And then, so webinar description, there's the first list. The agenda was the second list, the summit. So across the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then the assets there is at the bottom. So then comes ideas and results and the export assets. Okay, good. So that's what I thought. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
No, it's interesting. And I see what it does. It's not what my question was, though.
Okay, excuse me.
So within, for example, if you do the strengths,
yeah,
right, you do strategic analysis and you brainstorm a bunch of strengths and you come up with 12 items. So can it prioritize those items within that generated list?
Oh, I see. Okay, great. That's actually a really good use case.
It's a great use case because it's actually what you do with a group. And what you have to do with a group is some way of having people vote on it to create
Right.
the priorities. So that would be a really good feature to have. So you could add the voting feature in that, and then you would get prioritized lists versus just lists. But the other step in that is what Francis said about grouping the brainstorm items. So there'd be a group having to do with picking people on the team. There would be a group having to do with roles. There would be a group of how to do with research. So you would have, segmented subgroups within the brainstorm list, and then you could prioritize which of these groups is the most important to address first, and within that, which are the most potent areas to address first. So that would
So,
be how to generate a quickly prioritized list. So it would be great to have a feature that helps you do that within STS. That would be a huge game changer for facilitators.
well, so let me show you. I mean, I think what I'll show you is actually because of what I think you're discussing. It's not going to. It'll be. We could come up with examples of, but this will have like if. All right, this is. Let me try this. So let's just say strengths are agile team. Um, so we've been funded and proven market. I'll talk it through before I do it in case I'm on the wrong track with you, Gail. And what we've done in the past, in fact, we did this with our own strategic planning some time ago, is that we like identified some of our weaknesses and some of our threats. And we simply, all we really did was we simply went to the AI colleague. In this case, I'll just add one to the list next. So I'll talk this through in case you haven't seen this before. I clicked here, I added a list to the right. Once that list was created, I clicked it. You can see it's highlighted now. I've gotten more actions and I'm going to configure the list and I'll make it AI. So you can add AI to any list in any frame across any of the boards. And so here, what I would do is I'm going to click on the new AI there. I'll click on new list, which is the name of this one. That's where it's going to bring a context in from. And I would just say prioritize our, say or maybe say rank our weaknesses or rank our threats, maybe something like that. So Dale, did I hear everything you were saying? And does that do what you're basically saying?
I'm not sure you need AI to do what I'm looking to do.
Okay.
So what I'm looking to do is just to have the people in the group that generated the items,
Mm,
their AI items or people items, if there's a way for STS just to do a quick prioritization of
yeah.
that.
Yeah. One of our team's big ahas sometime about this time last year, like we use boards for our own meetings. And
Great.
so we'll have agendas. And for all of you on the call, I've added you to like say the webinar folder here. And so you guys have access to this. So you can come, James, you can go into our agenda here and you can just add an item here to our agenda live on the call. In fact, why don't you do that? And if you have any issue finding that and doing it, let me know. So we're having a meeting, we're having a discussion about direction of the company or what to do about tariffs, for example. And then we're going to get a whole bunch of ideas and thoughts about what to do. And I'm so glad you said what you said, Dale. It's like sometimes you don't need AI. Just because we have AI here doesn't mean we need to use it. We need to keep using our own brains so we don't give all our agency over and also our own brain power. So if we're still stuck, hey, we need some expert opinion from outside of our team. That's when I could go to AI, and maybe I won't even use ChatGPT standard. Maybe I'll use a strategy officer, our finance officer. Give us your opinion on what is our path forward, and then that way, say, connect it to the context that you need, say our agenda in this case. Give us basically your assessment of what it is we're discussing and help us make a decision. And also even the question assistant, it could be even a good example here. It's like, what are we not thinking about? So we've put all our heads on this, but maybe we're not thinking of all the things that we should be thinking about it. Give me some questions that we should be considering in order to address these threats or maybe weaknesses.
Mhm.
Does that make sense to you guys? Like John, James, and hi Harry, glad you could join us. Or anybody else? Is that making sense?
Yeah, I need to use it more. I haven't had enough time to play with it properly, so I need to get
Yeah.
dive probably over the weekend and have a real sort of play with some real data because then it's sorry then it's going to be easier
I
to
can
know what I'm
hear
doing.
you, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I definitely recommend that. But
that's good. That's good.
okay, cool. Could you access, John, are you able to access this? So this is the webinar folder, just to show you, this is the team. So everybody on the call should be on this team. And then within that, you'll see the webinar, actually it's like here, webinar folder. And then within that, you say all everything from 2025. And then here you'll see today's. So can everybody access that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then do me a favor, like just go to the agenda and just type, any questions that you have, or maybe just put your name in that I know that you're at least there, and we can see it in real time. Somebody actually that's not here in the office with me, adding to it. Yeah, okay, cool. So there's a question. Great.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
That's a shared board then, right? Okay, got it.
Yeah, so this is a truly collaborative space that allows you to bring, like, okay, all of us can, like, we could take a scenario here in a minute and just, kind of live try to create some solutions, some ideas, create a plan of action, and then, we could do it collaboratively, bring in AI we need, but also, like, start to actually build out the board too, say, add a list to the right and say, this is our plan, so our to-dos, so you should have these coming out of a meeting, right? So I'll follow up with James, or James. I can assign it to him actually. So James to use STS this weekend, right?
Thanks.
So that kind of thing. So at least you're capturing notes. Also, I think I've shown a few of you this too. Like we have an AI transcription service in the room with us right now. So I could go to Otter, which is the one I'm using at the moment, and just grab the transcription live and put that in within the board too. So we have our kind of our call notes, that I could basically share. So in fact, I'll just grab some of it just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So if this is like in our meeting board, I'm gonna add a list to the right. I'll call it our transcription or notes. I mean, this could be just simply our notes. So all of us could like capture some thoughts from it. So there's the notes from the transcription, but it could be the whole thing. So when this call is done, I'll have the transcription. I can just drop it in. And then that becomes part of, like, so as we're having a conversation trying to settle something, we have all our notes, and then that can be brought into the context of the AI as well. Super helpful. I use this daily, including going back to, so if James and I had a demo last week, I could go back to our call, say like I'm doing a sales call. I can use this board. I can capture all the context of his business, all the problems or challenges that he may have, all the solutions that I might bring, as say if I was a consultant and I'm offering services, all the suggestions from AI. And then next week, when I go back to say deliver or start working on it, I'll go to this board and I'll have absolutely all of that there. It makes my life as a consultant a heck of a lot easier. So that being said, John, you did say at the top of this, Dale, I see you have a question.
No, I have a comment.
Okay.
I think what you just said is hugely important. And I would make a list of the things that you use STS for daily, because you just laid out the value statement of STS and the way you said it. So really pay attention to what you just said and the power and impact of it. This stuff is super helpful and you use it daily. So make a list of all the things that you use STS for on a daily basis and, just start compiling it. It's going to be super, super powerful. And you'll add to it, as things go, but you'll see what the real convenience factor is, what the real value added factor is, what the real time saving is, what the real productivity improvement is, because you've just shared that, but just capture it. So
right on. Yeah, thanks for that, Dale. And you said something too. And now I'm going to use search every day for it too. So basically research, right? I mean, so let me actually just double click on that, as we say now. The research piece that Francis just gave us by using Perplexity, Claude, and Google is massive, because when say like we're doing a SWOT analysis, and I
Yeah.
want to capture, I want to do the market research right now. I want to look at for threats where there's opportunity. I can do that all now in STS. I don't have to go to all these other tools. And not
Yeah.
only that, those results, I don't know if you noticed this too, but when you do a search, you notice these are all the cards that come back from that search. I can create a new board with these cards,
Hmm.
or I can move the cards on to a list that, where this is open to the webinar. So let me just click on that. It's asking me where I want to put it. And actually, I'll put it in notes just to see. So now in notes, there they all are.
Hmm.
So I did the research. I went here. I, asked Perplexity, for example. I got my results right here, and then I could just move them right to the card that I'm in. Or I could have done it here too. Like I could, as he demonstrated, wherever your agent is, could be here or could be here. I could do the same thing. Start off with Perplexity, etc., and then all
Yeah.
those results are going to come in, and then it's in the board.
That's a
Amazing.
that's a great point. I mean, I asked just today or yesterday about comparing, Claude and Perplexity and
Yep,
Google, uh, and this actually does all that as part of STS. So it's like one-stop shopping. You get
that's it.
all of that built in. It's like super powerful, super big advantage. That's really exciting.
Yeah, this is, I think we're becoming a bit of an app killer. So, Katrina, welcome. There's a big announcement at the top of the call. I will, you know about it already. You know
Yes,
about
yes.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Katrina is one of our advisors in Silicon Valley. So, great to have you, and early contributors. So, thanks for joining. So, John, I was just getting to John. Katrina, I'll come back to you. So I want to address some of the particular questions that you had coming into the call. So I want to give this time to you to talk about any particular questions or issues you might have with kind of navigating the tool.
Well, the first time when you sit down with a lot of companies, they're not even familiar with the business canvas, and they're running a business and they don't really understand the components of how their business is operating. So, you start with the business canvas that kind of lays everything out. And, if they want to be an EXO, then the next step is the EXO canvas. And, I'm just looking at a step-by-step process to, start with the business canvas, do the awake presentation to get them geared into the importance of exponential structures and the attributes and incorporating all those attributes and then using STS really to input all the information about their company, through that process.
Since you brought that up and Francis showed it on the screen, what I did was I added to the webinar folder 2025. I put the business model canvas here. So everybody here now has access to this. So this is something, so this is part of our growth strategy, and part of what we're doing is that we're creating a lot of these kind of assets that people come to us, they would like to have built or they build themselves. And then we make it available. There'll be a marketplace. There'll be something you can sell to your own clients, as Francis mentioned earlier. But there's a lot of different frameworks. It's infinite what you can do. And so as you start creating assets for yourself, for you and your clients, you and your team, you can have it stored, kept within STS, make it available to your team or your clients for a fee or however your business works. And then they'll have access to it, and then they can run that particular process. So the other thing that John, you mentioned was the EXO canvas, or at least the process of like discovering the importance of, say, what is an exponential organization for those of you who haven't heard this before. As a result of one of our previous webinars 2 weeks ago, I believe, I added that as a template. So this is just another example of a framework that's brought to us. We can build it out, you can build it out, and then we can make it available. So here's building an EXO step one. This is part of the creating a new board. So when you click here from any of your folders and you click a new board, you go to template. This is for a limited time. So I would make sure that you create these two like today or tomorrow so that you have them and put it in one of your folders. So once you create that board, then I'll show you what it looks like. same idea. So to your point, John, you said, so people can understand what it is. The first step from the book is really creating your MTP. And so we break it down here, and then we have steps. And the steps are already built out. So all you need to do is just answer the questions that are here. If you're looking for big opportunities or challenges, you could do that all here. Just answer within each one of these cards, and it becomes, part of your knowledge base. And if you need help, you can go to the companion here, click on one of these lists and get help. Like say prioritise or now research, like what are some of the opportunities or,
How'd you get to those lists? What'd you click on?
just this right here was the colleague itself.
Okay.
And all of these that are listed here are these lists here. So if I add one or delete one, this list will change. If I, say if I delete this list, then it will be removed from here. So it's live, it's dynamic, it changes as your board changes. And then you can add a particular companion. It answers questions as a, say, strategy officer or sales officer. So you can do that all right here too.
Yeah, so if you want a chief strategy officer to look at your big challenges and big opportunities list, then you just click that, and then it'll see it. That's what I love.
And so they act as agents.
In the sense that they will answer through that persona.
Right.
Is another way to think of it. They're not taking action for you other than to say answer in a particular expertise.
All right. So personas are more accurate.
Yeah.
I just want to make that, because it's not agents as we think of them now as somebody that's actually going to run off and do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more expert. It's an expert in a particular.
Yeah. And Dale, you did hit on something, and I want to make sure everybody understands this too. When you go through, say, the business model canvas, you create that, or you create this, which now I'm talking about my passions. It might capture my values. It might, talk about, say, anything that you're putting into STS that captures information about your business, which obviously you're going to do when you start doing strategic work within STS. That is now part of your knowledge base within STS. Now you can go to one of your colleagues. Not only can you choose from lists inside the board you're working on, but you can also add contacts from other boards. So I can click on this. Now everything in the webinar folder, because this is what we all share. Everybody on this call has access to all of this. But let me point out that you don't have access to all my other stuff. Like I've done a ton of work in STS over the last year or more, and all of that's available to me, but not everybody else, because that's my work. It should be just available to me. So this is only showing you what's available to this whole team, right? It's keeping your information secure. But
how do you assign permissions?
Through the team. So with the team, like here, the webinar team, for example, I can go to the webinar team, go to team setting, and I can add people. I can add or remove people. So when people leave the company, I could just hit the minus and then they'll be removed. Or if they move from one department to another, or for whatever reasons, you can add or remove people from these different teams. So my last point here is that when I've done all that work on, say, a business model canvas, that's great. I have that information. I can now create a pitch deck from it, or maybe I can do some sales strategy, or maybe marketing strategy, or growth strategy, or whatever. I can actually go to that board, click on it, and then once I confirm, then I can choose the lists from that board. So I don't have to go hunt for it. I don't have to pull it over. I don't have to copy paste it, bring it into this board. It's like I'm doing a RAG, if you're familiar with that. Within my company knowledge base, I can point to it and bring it into the work that I'm doing right now. This is massively powerful, in my opinion. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks for great questions. Thanks for being here. We're just 2 minutes before the top of the hour, which is the end of our call anyway. So thank you. I do want to, leave any time for any questions or anything I could follow up on.
I need to have a play with it over the weekend.
Right on. I'll hold you to it. You've been assigned a card now. So And we will have our next webinar, which will be more on project planning. We're really excited to have Charlie, who's been a major contributor to our team since he's found us a few months ago. He's headed the Project Management Institute chapter in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so Charlie Sablin will be joining us next week to walk through his process, and we'll start off successfully starting a project plan. Look forward to seeing you then.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Thanks for posting the 2 canvases. And you say to grab those.
Yes, so there's the save board feature. And once you open up one of those boards, okay, so here on the save board, you
Save
click
board, I
here,
got it.
save the file. There's the export asset, which was announced earlier in the call. Once I saved a file, that's downloaded, and now I can go to any one of my folders. And once I'm in the folder I want to move it to, I go to create new. I'll create a board, and I'll choose from file. And from file, I'll select the JSON file that was downloaded, and I can rename it if I want. I'll create the board, and then it will be right there within the folders. I went to create board, and then I went to from file.
And I'm so excited about web search. So excited about it.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Yeah, it's this new client of mine. It's gonna be super useful.
Terrific. That's great. Love it. And I'll pause the recording here.